So this is my coming out story. This is how I came out to everyone. This is how I did it, how I dealt with it, and what it's done to me. Coming out is one of the hardest things to do. It requires a lot of strength and a lot of courage, and it means going into the world of complete uncertainty. No one knows how anyone is going to act. Ever. No one knows. It's always up in the air. So that's why it's so hard to come out. And so this is how I came out. First of all, I've always known that I've liked men. That was never a question. I never thought it was a big deal that I found men sexually attractive. It never bothered me. But I never really put much thought into finding men emotionally attractive, because I was never grown up in that way. I always grew up in a world where women were emotionally attractive. I didn't really quite catch on to that sexually attractive part. So I always saw men sexually and women emotionally. So I had relationships with women. And so I dated. And it wasn't until around mid-high school that I really started to realize that these two did not mesh at all. That you needed to sexually like a girl too. Didn't quite qualify for that. So at the time, I was dating my best friend. I'll leave her name out. But we were dating for about 2 months. And I realized that, I can't do it anymore. I've got to come out somehow, because it was really bugging me that these two weren't going together. And so I started to tell people, and I went from the bottom up, from the least nice best friends to the best friends. That was a mistake. Don't do that. Why? Because the people on the bottom are going to tell the people on top before you can get there. So I told the people at the bottom of the totem pole, and I told them that I was bi, just to kind of ease into it, because I still was kind of unsure, can they mesh? But I was pretty sure that they couldn't, but I wanted to ease into it. Well, again, that was stupid, because they just found out, and so me and my girlfriend broke up, and that pretty much screwed up our relationship ever since. We actually don't talk anymore. Partly my fault, partly her fault. Whatever. But I don't think it's good of that. Anyways, so yeah, I came out from the bottom up. Don't do that. Come out to your best friends first, and then let it trickle down. Because it's the best friends that matter the most. And I really wish I would have been able to tell all of my best friends. My parents are a different story, obviously, because I can't go from the bottom up. Well, I decided to tell my dad first, because I figured he would be a lot easier to tell, and I don't know. So I told him. I remember it perfectly. I went down to his den, and I stood in his doorway, and I was just like, Dad, I have something to tell you. And he was like, what? And I'm like, well, I'm gay. And he was like, cool. That was pretty much it. He was fine with it, totally fine with it. Never had a problem with it. He's always been 100% on my side. Always been for me. Always been with me. It's been great. Now, my mother, on the other hand, that was a lot harder. Because I always, look up to her so much for her approval, everything. And so it was really difficult to have this possibility where she wouldn't accept it. So stupidly, I sent her an email saying, Mom, I'm gay. Worst mistake ever. Don't send your mother an email. That was so stupid. I am so sorry, Mother. Don't do that if you're about to come out, especially to your mother. That was so stupid. But you know what? She was perfectly fine with it. I think she was just more upset that she was going to have grandkids. But I think she knew that anyway, because I do not want kids. But anyways, she was totally fine with it. She totally accepted it, totally great. And it was awesome. So that worked out really well. Since coming out, a lot has changed. I've become completely confident in who I am. My self-esteem has gone up so much. I'm just so ready to be myself. Coming out was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my entire life. I'm so glad I did it. I would never take it back. I would do some things differently. Email. But it was absolutely amazing. I'm so glad I've done it. I'm a completely different person. Really, I'm not a completely different person, though. I'm able to be the person that I am, which is different than what I was. Get it? So yeah, coming out has just been an amazing experience, and I'm so glad I did it. I get messages all the time saying, Dan, I want to come out. How do I come out? When do I know it's the right time? All this. You'll know. You'll know when it's time to come out. You'll know what to do. If you're going to come out when you're ready. Because if you come out before you're ready, then it's going to be a shock to you. It could have some bad impacts on you. It's going to be a lot at once that I don't know that you can handle. That you don't know if you can handle if you're not ready. So when you're ready, come out to people, and then you'll feel great. I'm sure you'll feel great. I don't know why you wouldn't feel great. Even if some people don't take it well, your friends, for instance, they don't take it well and they don't want to be your friends anymore, then they're not worth being your friends in the first place. And if your parents can't accept you, that's hard. But it's something you gotta live with. And they gotta live with. As time moves on, maybe they'll accept you. Maybe. So my main piece of advice coming out is to come out when you're ready. Everything will go from there. So since a lot of people ask me how to come out and all that, I figured might be good if maybe we started like a video archive of coming out stories. Of stories where we came out to our families, to our friends, everything. But also stories of when people came out to us and how we have been allies to others. Because that's a really important aspect of it all too. And so if you could video respond to this, your coming out story, your ally story, anything you want regarding coming out. And then maybe, hopefully one day, all these videos might help someone come out themselves. And if it does, then we've all done good. And remember, just because you came out does not mean you have to change who you are. It only means that you get to be the person you always were.